Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I am genuinely so excited to get into this topic today because, well, it's something that affects pretty much all of us right now. We're going to be unpacking the actual underlying psychology behind conspiracy theories. And to do that, we're pulling from some absolutely fascinating research by Dr. Karen Douglas. She's a professor of social psychology, and we're going to explore her insights on exactly why these ideas take such a strong hold on people. It's going to be incredibly illuminating. So let's just get right into it. So picture this. You finish your day, you open up social media, and yep, there it is. A friend, maybe an aunt, or someone you went to high school with, has posted some incredibly wild, easily disprovable misinformation. You scroll through the comments, and other people are actually agreeing with it. And your immediate, completely human response is probably to just sit back, stare at your screen, and think, what is actually wrong with them? I mean, it's super frustrating, right? But what if we tried to approach this a little differently? Okay. Let's dive into this. To figure out what's actually going on, we first need to know exactly what we are talking about. Dr. Karen Douglas defines a conspiracy theory as a proposed plot carried out in secret, usually by a powerful group of people who have some kind of sinister goal. So essentially, they don't have our best interests at heart, they have their own interests at heart. And really, that's the core foundation of every single one of these theories.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at 1, the era of misinformation. 2, are conspiracy theories actually new? 3, the 3 psychological motives. 4, the Princess Diana paradox. 5, who actually believes this stuff? And 6, how to stop the spread.
Section 1. The era of misinformation. Average people sharing. Man, it really feels like we're living in a time where the internet has just become entirely flooded with average people spreading demonstrable misinformation. It's no longer just fringe groups out there, it's everyday people. I mean, just think about some of the things that have gained massive traction recently. We've seen claims that 5G cell towers spread COVID-19, theories that vaccines somehow alter human DNA, the classic idea that the 1969 moon landing was faked, and these incredibly complex political webs like QAnon. As wild as these sound on the surface, and they definitely sound wild, we really have to firmly remind ourselves that we are not here to judge today. We're here to understand. Section 2. Are conspiracy theories actually new? Not just social media. Now, this begs the question, is this just an internet problem? Well, the short answer is no. Social media has absolutely changed how we access and share this information, for sure. But the psychological tendency to believe these things, that has literally always thrived during times of massive social upheaval. And this brilliantly illustrates that fact. If we look back through history, humanity has always rationalized bewildering, terrifying events through conspiracies. In 64 AD, there were rampant theories about the burning of Rome while Nero was away. During the bubonic plague in the 14th century, horrific conspiracies led to Jewish people being falsely accused and murdered. And then, jumping to 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic. The specific events change, but the human reaction, trying to make sense of a terrifying world by finding a sinister scapegoat, well, that remains exactly the same. Section 3. The 3 psychological motives, deep human needs. This brings us to the absolute core of today's explainer, because research shows that these beliefs aren't just random acts of ignorance. No, they're actually driven by 3 very deep, very human psychological needs. Whenever major scary things happen, we naturally scramble to satisfy these motives. Dr. Douglas identifies them as epistemic motives, existential motives, and social motives. Let's just take a second to let those sink in. These are literally the engines running behind every wild theory you see shared online. Let's break them down one by one. First up, epistemic motives. Basically, this is simply our need for knowledge and certainty. When a massive event happens, we desperately want to know why, and we want to feel completely certain about that truth. Take the faked moon landing theory, for example. For some folks, the sheer magnitude of landing on the moon doesn't provide them with subjective certainty. So what do? They seek out a conspiracy that does give them an explanation they can easily wrap their heads around. And the crazy thing is, because they so desperately need that certainty, they will ignore massive amounts of actual scientific disconfirmation just to hold on to it. Any proof against the conspiracy? Well, to them, that's just part of the cover-up. Then we have existential motives. This is all about our need for safety and control. Think about this quote from the research. When a situation has left someone feeling powerless, they might find it empowering to reject official narratives. I mean, just think about the sheer existential dread of a global pandemic. You have zero control. But if you decide the whole thing was engineered by a specific group in a lab or by a specific billionaire, suddenly there is a clear enemy. As terrifying as that alternative theory is, it strangely feels way more comforting and empowering than the fragile, chaotic reality that nature is just completely unpredictable. Finally, social motives. This is our need to feel good about ourselves and the groups we belong to. Believing you possess some secret truth that the rest of the world, the sheep, don't know, makes you feel incredibly unique. It can honestly even lean a bit into narcissism. It fosters this really powerful us versus them mentality that makes people feel less alone. But tragically, as we've seen historically, this need to valorize the in-group very often results in blaming outsiders, frequently turning marginalized minorities into targets and scapegoats. Section 4, the Princess Diana Paradox, Opposing Theories. Now, what's really fascinating here is a bizarre psychological paradox that Dr. Douglas and her team actually tested, and it completely proves how these motives override everyday logic. So Dr. Douglas's team asked participants how much they agreed with two completely opposing conspiracy theories regarding Princess Diana. Theory 1, she was assassinated and is dead. Theory 2, she was helped to fake her own death and is currently alive, living on an island somewhere. Now, you would think that a person would pick one or the other, right? Because it's literally impossible to be dead and alive at the exact same time. But researchers found that the more a person believed she was assassinated, the more they also believed she faked her own death. They simultaneously entertained both. I mean, how does that make any sense? Well, it actually resolves perfectly when you look at the underlying belief. The specific facts of those contradictory theories literally do not matter to the believer. What matters, the glue holding the whole shebang together, is their core underlying feeling that something just isn't right and it's being covered up. As long as both theories point to authority figures hiding the truth, a person driven by those epistemic and existential motives will happily entertain both impossibilities. Section 5. Who actually believes this stuff? Demographic data. Okay, be honest. When I say conspiracy theorist, who pops into your head? You're probably picturing an older guy, right? Maybe sitting alone in a basement. Well, let's look at what the actual data tells us. Let's walk through these findings conversationally because they are full of surprises. First up, age. Get this. Older people actually believe in conspiracy theories less than younger people do. There is a negative correlation with age. Second, gender. In the everyday population, researchers find zero statistical difference between men and women. Literally none. Now, when it comes to education, lower education levels are correlated with these beliefs. And that's not because people aren't intelligent, but simply because they haven't been given the tools to differentiate credible sources from non-credible ones. So they end up seeking certainty in the wrong places. And personality-wise, high narcissism and a strong need for uniqueness are major indicators. Section 6. How to stop the spread. Taking action. Whew, okay, so we know the motives and we know who is susceptible. Now for the absolute most important part. How do we actually stop this? Because as we've seen, it has real-world, highly dangerous consequences. And the research shows that simply throwing facts and debunking articles at a believer after they've bought into a theory, it just doesn't work. They're already locked in. So the crucial point here revolves around a psychological concept called inoculation. Just like a real physical vaccine, you have to give people the facts before they are exposed to the viral lies. Step 1, forewarn people. Tell them, hey, you might see some misleading information about this topic online soon. Step 2, provide factual pre-bunking. Give them the correct context up front, so when they actually see the conspiracy, it totally fails to gain traction. And step 3, we all need to actively diversify where we get our information and actually check the sources of those sources. But I want to pause here for a second because this is absolutely vital. Combating misinformation requires deep, genuine empathy. We cannot use a one-size-fits-all approach because some communities have deeply valid historical reasons to distrust authority. For example, polling has shown that some Black Americans have been more wary of medical safety, and that is rooted in a very real, heavily documented history of being mistreated by the medical establishment. We have to be incredibly sensitive to that reality when we talk about skepticism versus conspiracy. So, I want to leave you with this. The next time you open up your social media and see a wild, seemingly impossible theory posted by someone you know, what are you going to do? Will you react with immediate anger and judgment, or will you try to react with empathy, recognizing the deep, incredibly human fears driving them to seek comfort in a lie? It's a really challenging question, but understanding that psychology might just be the absolute key to fixing the way we communicate with each other. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.